Now, no fouls. It'll be Steven Adams.
They give Steven Adams some.
And wow!
The nicest man in the league has a couple of insane stories that you've gotta hear. Steven Adams might just be the nicest and most lovable giant in the NBA right now. He's always getting involved in fights, but not to start them. Instead, he's trying to break them up and play the peacemaker role, which some might think is surprising due to his massive frame and build. Though Adams isn't a very open person, and outside of a couple hilarious media interviews that we'll get into a little later, not much is known about him outside of the sport. So, in today's video, we're going to be going over a couple of the most fascinating stories about Adams that might just blow your mind. And make sure you stick around until the end of the video to hear how Adams almost joined a gang. We'll start this one off with one of the most interesting stories regarding the gentle giant Steven Adams. A couple years ago, while Adams was a member of the Oklahoma City Thunder, a story was revealed about his free throw routine during practice. He's always working to improve every aspect of his game, and because of the physical style of ball that he chooses to play, his routines mostly get physical. When he lines up to the free throw line, he would have an assistant coach randomly run over and give him a full-blown jab to the gut when he least expects it. I can't say that I've ever heard anybody else revert to this strategy when needing to work on their free throws, but hey, he did slowly improve his numbers that year, so I guess it worked. He shot 57.1% from the charity stripe throughout his career up to that point, but the next year he shot a career-high percentage of 61.1%. So I'd imagine he probably still uses this strategy when working on his shooting.
He'll come and like punch me in the stomach, like no joke. Like, I swear to God, he'll come punch me in the stomach or slap me on the arm really hard, and he'll just say make a free throw, and then shoot 2 free throws.
Moving on to the next story, we've got a pretty interesting one. Everybody always talks about the toughness that Adams shows on the court, but not many people know just how tough he really is. Kendrick Perkins revealed on ESPN that Adams is, without a doubt, a tough dude, but continued on to say that he was a different kind of tough. He mentioned a story about Adams that he annually travels to New Zealand alongside a couple of his giant brothers, and they hunt for wild hogs. There's a catch to that, though. They only use a knife, and they hunt without any kind of socks or shoes on. Never in my life have I ever heard of anybody doing anything like that before. Now, toughness is an incredible trait to have in any profession, but man, there's no wonder why nobody messes with Adams in the NBA. Jimmy Butler also shared his own story about Steven Adams in a post-game interview while he was still on the Minnesota Timberwolves. There was some pretty physical play during the game between Adams and Karl Anthony Towns, so reporters asked Butler a couple questions about that tough matchup inside the paint. Butler instantly went off topic just to talk about how tough Adams is as a person. To quote him here, he said, "That MFer is strong. He hit me with one screen today, and I thought my life was over. Like, seriously, he's like from Krypton or something. Seriously, he's strong. I'm gonna call him in here and let him set a screen on you. Dude, I'm trying to tell you."
That motherfucker is strong. Like, I'm serious. He hit me with one screen today, and I thought my life was over. I don't know. He's like from Krypton or something, seriously. He's strong. Like, all right.
This video, of course, went viral in the NBA community ridiculously fast, and for good reason. It's always fun listening to players share hilarious stories about some of their competitors. And as somebody who's been hit hard by screens himself during a few games, I can only imagine the pain you'd feel if you were caught off guard by one set by Steven Adams. I'm gonna have to agree with Butler here. His life was seriously on the line in that moment. While many players who make it all the way to the AllStar Break are relieved to get some time to themselves, Steven Adams happens to go into a completely different mindset. It seems all too common that some of the world's biggest stars in the basketball world take the trip out to wherever the All-Star game is being held. Some work on their skills, some take a nice long vacation. It truly just depends on the person. Adams was asked what his favorite part about the All-Star Break was, and he answered without skipping a beat. He said, "I think training my dog, mate." In his defense though, who doesn't love spending some quality time with their pets, right? Adams is simply just having fun wherever he goes, and it doesn't look like he's that shaken up about not being named to the All-Star roster.
I just taught her how to crawl, which is quite nice. It's quite cute. And then also she could climb about this high.
Remember when we mentioned that insane free throw routine that Adams has? Well, this next story may very likely be the reason he does such a thing. A couple years ago, Adams and the Thunder were locked in a tight game against the Chicago Bulls. After being down by a substantial amount, the Thunder managed to fight their way back into the contest, which resulted in the game coming down to the final seconds. There was about 4 seconds left on the clock, and the game was tied at 106 apiece. Adams got fouled and had a chance to go to the charity stripe to try to seal the game for his team. He banked in the first shot and unfortunately missed the second, though he did recover his own rebound and the team walked away with the win. Now, it's no surprise that Adams isn't that great from the free throw line, but it appeared he was calm and confident in his shot heading up to the line that time. A Thunder sideline reporter caught up to Adams to ask him about his thoughts once he realized he'd gotten fouled. Without fully realizing that he was on live television, Adams quickly said, "I absolutely shit my pants. It's pretty tough. I didn't realize how much pressure it is, but I made it, mate. Can be happy with it." And to make that interview even funnier, Dennis Schroeder took the opportunity to sprint in next to Adams and make fun of him for having to use the backboard on that first shot attempt. At the end of the day, though, the shot did go in and the team walked away with the win. Now, that's all you can ask for in a tight contest like that, especially when you come from behind after trailing by as many as 26 points.
Absolutely shit my pants. And I should have free throw. But look, it's pretty tough.
Free throws might be a scary moment for any player in the league, but thankfully Adams was in this position and not what he could have been if he'd made some different decisions earlier in his life. Stick around until the end of the video to find out about the story involving Adams and a local gang. Steven Adams absolutely hates wearing suits. You probably couldn't force him to wear a suit if your life depended on it. When Chris Paul was teammates with Adams on the Thunder just a year or two ago, Paul got all of his teammates custom-tailored suits. The whole plan was set right before that, as the team was going to get all dressed up in their new suits ahead of their next game, which happened to be just a day away. Adams ended up wearing the suit, donning a cobalt tie, a white button-down shirt, and some loafers to top it all off. Normally, the entrance to the stadium is like a catwalk for NBA players. I mean, just look at Russell Westbrook and his fashion style when walking into the stadium. A suit, though, was a wild change of pace for Adams at the time, who admitted that he would just like to wear some sweatpants and a pair of sandals, nothing fancy at all. Adams was eventually interviewed by ESPN, and they asked him about his thought process once he received that suit from Paul. Adams said, "Chris was like, wear it to the game. It's a team thing. I was like, shit, I have to wear it? I was just gonna hang it up." However, I guess when Chris Paul asks you to wear a suit, you gotta wear the suit. Adams continued in the interview to say that he couldn't remember wearing a suit since the year 2016 when Russell Westbrook had his Oklahoma Hall of Fame event. There's more to this story, though. Adams said this afterwards. "I didn't realize how much time it takes to put on all that shit. It's a lot longer than I take normally. I didn't account for it. I was just like, fuck this, mate. A lot of buttons, a lot of weird little things. It's a 3-piece suit, which means more buttons. But it's all pre-made Italian stuff. I didn't even know what I looked like, mate. I didn't look in the mirror. Had to get the valet dudes to kind of clean me up a bit. My collar was off and everything." Despite looking incredibly dapper on what was eventually labeled suit night, I wouldn't be expecting to see Adams donning a new suit anytime soon, especially after how long it apparently took him just to get everything on correctly that night. ESPN wrapped up their interview by asking Adams when we could expect to see him show up in a suit again. Adams simply replied, "My funeral, mate." Adams ended up being one of the most interesting players in the NBA bubble, and man, did we need something to keep an eye on throughout that time. Adams was joking around when the team first entered the bubble, saying that he'd spent his entire quarantine period by just working out with cows on his personal farm. But that's just the start of the story. The team made sure to pack their bags and grab enough items to last them until at least a month or two. His teammate, for example, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, packed 3 months worth of clothes for this period. Adams didn't really seem like he was paying attention to the clothes aspect of packing, but was rather caught grocery shopping. Adams was photographed with multiple bags of groceries in his hand and some street clothes, but there wasn't any luggage in sight. I mean, hey, there's still a strong possibility that somebody simply helped him with his luggage a little while earlier, or that he just made a second trip later, but it's still incredibly believable that he decided to just walk his way in with the food of his choice instead of what the league was offering to their players. Did you know that Adams was kind of in a mob? Neither did we until we heard this crazy story. His father, Sid, had 18 children with 5 different women. Some say that he even had 21 children, but there's no official record of that just yet. By the time Adams started to grow up, Sid was in his 60s and was worn down from life. He'd also just gotten into a bad car accident and was diagnosed with stomach cancer. Sadly, Sid passed away after a long battle with cancer, which threw Adams completely off course. He skipped school frequently and started hanging out with a local gang called the Mongrel Mob. Adams was adamant that he never joined the gang officially, mostly due to their gruesome initiation process that he said he didn't want any part of. Apparently, the gang would literally beat the hell out of you for a while just so that you could be a member. Personally, I feel like Adams definitely made the right call by not choosing to undergo such punishment. After this whole gang experiment, Adams started to get his life back together and started to get into the game of basketball. And of course, the rest of his life so far after that is history. Make sure to watch the 6 most heated Steven Adams moments next. Just click on it when it appears on your screen. You won't want to miss that one.